Welcome back. It was a great evening last night, so welcome back to Ecosystem 2.0, the revenue, the next wave, the 2010 IAB Annual Leadership Meeting. What a great evening, what an industry, what a crowd. There are 650 of you registered this year, a third again as large as last year's IAB Annual. And rest assured, you are the leaders of our industry. More than 400 of you, 64%, are vice presidents of your company or higher. Almost 200 of you are C-level executives, presidents, or founders of your companies. And we are about the ecosystem. There are twice as many brands and agencies represented in our audience this year than last year. A big welcome to all of you from the brand and the agency side, for here's what members of the IAB know. In the interactive marketing and media ecosystem, we will all grow together. Now, our theme this year, as it says on the banners, as we've been saying in all the conversations, all our talks, is revenue, the next wave. And you don't need me to tell you what that means. It's about transformation. It's about new ideas. It's about new services. It's about new products. And most of all, it is about growth. So let's get on with the learning and let's get on with the growing. But just a little bit before we get there, let me exploit your attention by making some important IAB announcements. We have news that I promise will affect all of your businesses. First, I'm very pleased to announce that the Interactive Advertising Bureau and the American Association of Advertising Agencies are today releasing the final version of T's and C's 3.0. The standard model publisher agency contract for interactive media. Ready for adoption, this is the first update to the voluntary standard advertising contract since 2002. And this one includes critical components that take into consideration how interactive advertising platforms have evolved. This contract will become, starting today, the standard by which media companies and agencies or advertisers will expedite the most common types of interactive media buys. The changes from T's and C's 2.0 represent input from more than 100 finance, legal, sales, and buying leaders from a cross-section of media companies and agencies who volunteered their time to help improve the protracted, time-consuming negotiations that have long plagued interactive advertising. Second, and a sip of the agua. Second, IAB is pleased to announce the release of 2 new guides for interactive advertising buyers and sellers. Today, we unveil the IAB's Social Media Buyer's Guide, a how-to primer for marketers and agencies. This is another first for our industry, a resource that guides marketers and agencies through the social media advertising buying process. It's chock-a-block with case studies and other vital facts and concepts. It's been a labor of love for our social media committee and will prove to be a great send-ahead or leave behind for client visits for anyone involved in social media in any way, shape, or form. We're also pleased to unveil another first for our industry, the publication of Interactive Television, an advertising overview. It's the latest in the IAB series of comprehensive platform status reports aimed at educating marketers, agencies, and publishers on the state of interactive advertising platforms and segments. This is the first product of the IAB's IPTV committee that we formed less than a year ago, so they're really quick off the block. It's a group from which you'll be hearing much, much more as video convergence becomes an ever more present reality. And that's actually a subject that we'll be hearing quite a lot about today and tomorrow. Finally, and perhaps most profoundly, today we are announcing the release for public comment of the IAB Networks and Exchanges Quality Assurance Guidelines. This is the industry's first brand-focused, self-regulatory, and compliance program. A year-long project of our Networks and Exchanges Committee, it aims to provide marketers and agencies greater trust in the brand safety of advertising bought and distributed through these vital interactive platforms. The guidelines will provide enhanced control over placement and context and provide a full understanding of the sources and types of inventory offered, and also about the context and content surrounding advertising. All these documents are here for you to take away and absorb. Around the corner, when you go outside, there's an IAB booth with everything. Also, I think many of you have them on your seats and in your packets, but anything you don't have, you can go outside and get. But before you go outside and gather these things, before you go and absorb them and read them, we have ready for our stage the industry's best thought leaders, ready to provide you insights on revenue, the next wave. Before we move on with the day's agenda, I want to once again thank our sponsors. Our principal sponsor, Audience Science. Our title sponsors, Compete, Google, Operative, Pubmatic, Rubicon Project, and Yahoo. Our VIP sponsors, AdMeld, Akamai, Collective, Freewheel, GeekNet, Microsoft Advertising, and Unicast. Our supporting sponsors, Adify, Brickfish, Casale Media, the Jordan Edmiston Group, Men's Health and Women's Health, Pulse 360, Rocket Fuel, socialmedia.com, Theorem, and Tweetedia. And our official media sponsor, Advertising Age. As I said last night, interactivity is, as you might imagine, somewhat important to us. And so we've taken strides to facilitate continuous two-way communication. The hashtag for the conference, and we saw that many of you absorbed this because there were a lot of them last night. The hashtag is #IABALM. So please tag your tweets and follow us at IAB. And I also mentioned last night, but I want to remind you, because today is the day when all the speakers are coming up on stage, that we're going to try and take as much time as we can, given the length of the speeches, to do Q&A with the speakers after their speeches. And we want as much of that to come from you, because the more questions you ask, the less work I have to do on stage. So if you have anything you would like me to address to our speakers, please tag your questions with #IABR2. #IABR2. We're going to be monitoring the questions over there, come up and do them, and we're going to see how that works. We're also aggregating tweets outside the general session, courtesy of Tweetedia, so please take a look at that. Friend us on Facebook, check in on Foursquare and Gowalla, and please send links of your online footprint to Marla Aaron, IAB's Director of Communication. We want to hear from you, and we want all of you to follow each other so we can be one big, for a night or two, happy family.